Hello, and welcome to the Articulation in Service for Exams, Canvas and Proctorio. Exams are the last step in the articulation process. All preceding steps must be complete before an exam can be scheduled or conducted. Our topics today are going to include scheduling exams, exams that do not have anything to do with Canvas, exams that are conducted in Canvas, and exams conducted in Canvas with Proctorio. We'll begin by discussing scheduling exams. The scheduling is going to vary by program area because each program has different exam requirements. The Articulation Office manages or coordinates the exams associated with all articulation agreements. In any given spring, we typically coordinate 70 or more exams. Advanced planning on your part and early completion of all the preceding steps is greatly appreciated. It's a bit of juggling to get this all accomplished in a reasonable time frame. Before we talk about the specific scheduling, I want to talk about some of the different types of exams and how that impacts the scheduling. So we do have two programs that have what I consider structured or fixed dates: animation and kinesiology. Faculty set these exam dates and they're not flexible. So animation will pick a specific date and time when all students seeking animation credit will need to participate in the exam. It's not flexible. And so everything has to be done well in advance of that date and time to be sure students are eligible to take the exam and everything is set up for them so it's possible to take the exam. The same is true for the kinesiology program. Faculty for that always need to look at the final step in the exam process, which is the demonstration of skills. To accomplish that, they have to be sure they have a clear amount of time, and in some cases, access to the athletic training room for students to complete the demonstration. During COVID, we're using Zoom to accomplish the same thing. In order for students to be ready to get in and do those demonstration exams, which are generally in the early part of May, we have to back everything up. So they have to pass the written portion of the exam 2 weeks before the scheduled practical exam. This year, the last day to complete the written exam is April 23rd of 2021. The reason for that is we need 2 weeks in order to turn it around and get them scheduled into the demonstration exam. Given that we know you've got a fixed date to complete this kinesiology exam, I do want to point out that is an exam that has Proctorio. When Proctorio is in place, if students get kicked out, there's a process that has to be completed to get them back in. So if that kinesiology student exam is scheduled for the very last day of 4/23 and students get knocked out of that exam by Proctorio, they will be done at that point. There would not be time to add the students back into that exam if approved. So please consider the date that you aim for in situations like this so that we make sure we've got time to work with students if something happens and they get kicked out. Just so you know, no matter whose exam it is, if a student gets kicked out of an exam by Proctorio and they get approved to go back in and complete the exam, they're only going to get one opportunity to go back. The next thing I want to talk about are the demonstration alone exams. And at this time, sign language is the only program that is purely demonstration. Those are set up right now in Zoom. At other times, they are done in person on the school campus. Another type of exam that we see are portfolios. Portfolios get submitted in a variety of different ways. They are generally due any time before the end of the school year, and then faculty score them after they complete their semester or whenever they work it in before the end of the year. In every case where there's an actual exam, whether Proctorio is used or not, if it's some type of written exam, the exam has to get scheduled. The way we start looking at the exam scheduling is we start with that articulation pre-approval form. There is a request on that form for the date of your exam. This isn't going to be fixed in stone. We treat this as the target that we're aiming for. If possible, and time allows, and everything lines up, then yes, we'll definitely go for that date. In other cases, maybe you're really just identifying for us the week that we're aiming for, depending on the type of exam that you're going to have. But this is our starting point. This is what tells us we need to start getting your student forms out and completed so that we can try to accomplish an exam around that date and time. We'll start now by talking about exams that have nothing to do with Canvas. So these are the portfolios, demonstration exams, those types of situations, project-based exams. They don't ever interact with Canvas at all, or don't have to interact with Canvas. In this case, I do know that our RTV agreement, students do a project. The project is submitted to faculty either as a URL, a YouTube link, or it can be submitted through a Dropbox. In those cases, we do ask that the teachers make sure the articulation office is aware that the exams have been submitted. This helps us know that we need to follow up with faculty with our internal paperwork and collect a grade. Sign language students, as I said, are presently using Zoom to do their demonstration. Zoom has been accepted and approved by all districts previously. They understand the exam is run by Mount SAC using Mount SAC's format, and that is what we use. So students do have that permission to go into Zoom to take the exam. In order to get into Zoom, they're first sent the link to a Sign Up Genius form. We do send it directly to the students using the email they provided on that pre-approval form. When we reach out to students and ask them to schedule their time in Sign Up Genius to do their demonstration exam, we do let the high school instructor know that we have sent the link out to students and that they are being asked to schedule. Sign Up Genius will then make the students aware of their confirmed date and time. It will send them a reminder 24 hours ahead of time with the Zoom link. I have architecture on here because many times we have submitted portfolios either in binders or they're submitted as PDF documents through email or a large file transfer system such as WeTransfer. That is very likely to be the case in 2021, but moving forward, I anticipate exams, portfolios in this case, will be submitted through Canvas. So if your architecture or your portfolio in any way, I would stick around for the instructions for accessing Canvas. If you are a project or a demonstration type of exam alone, this is the last slide that will apply to you. Everyone else, your students are going to need to interact with Canvas in order to participate in the exam process. In order to get to Canvas, students need to first claim their account. That is basically establishing their portal. This is a useful thing for students to learn. No matter where they go to college, they're very likely going to be using a student portal, often to schedule their classes, to access transcripts, etc. The first step in our process is the student needs to claim that account. To help students with this process, We have loaded a video on the high school articulation webpage under the video tab, and it's labeled Mount SAC Account Claim Process. It's a very short video that students can watch and then go through that process to establish their portal. Once they've established the portal, we're going to provide directions for students to sign directly into Canvas. They can get there from their portal, but it takes extra clicks, and we want to put them through as directly as possible for the sake of this exam. And so that will be demonstrated for you. We will show you the process for accepting an invitation to Canvas. There's also a video on the web page that will show students how to access an exam in Canvas. That's another resource that students can look at. And we'll also demonstrate taking the Proctorio setup quiz and why that is there if indeed Proctorio is in place for your students. So first off, the student is going to go and claim their account. Once they've done that, we want them to log directly into Canvas. They do this by going to Mount SAC's homepage, mountsac.edu. They come over to the sign in, use the caret for the drop-down, and pick Canvas classes. That will bring students to this sign-in window. At this sign-in window, they're going to use the username that was assigned to them by Mount SAC. They can't make this up. It has to be that username. Beneath that is their password. At the time the students claim their account and set up the portal, they go in the first time using a temporary password, and they are directed immediately to reset that password. Students need to remember that password. We will not have it. No one else will have that password. If they forget what password they set up, it's possible to have the password reset by Mount SAC's IT help desk. But of course, a password reset is only possible during help desk's working hours, which is 7:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. So again, if they're taking their exam at night, they're stuck because help desk can't do a password reset. So be sure they know what their password is and that they write it down somewhere in advance. Once the student logs into Canvas, the first thing they're going to see on their first visit to Canvas is this accept invitation to join course. In this case, I've invited Veronica to join the High School Articulation MEDI 90 2021 course in the teachers section as a student. To join the course, she simply selects accept, and then the pop-up window appears that says invitation accepted and confirms the course. From there, a card lands on the student's dashboard. To get into the course, they select the card on the dashboard. Once they go into the course, there's a number of options here along the side. I mean, it takes them to their home screen for the course. I want to direct your attention to the quizzes. By selecting quizzes, this is where they're going to see the articulation exam that's waiting for them. And if Proctorio is required, they're going to see this Proctorio setup quiz. It's important they go in early, practice these steps, get comfortable navigating their way to Canvas, getting themselves accepted into this course in advance. This will help them be ready the day of the exam. Now, they can tell, first of all, in this case, the MEDI 90 exam is listed as closed, and they would see it as closed, but they should see a due date for when the exam is scheduled, and it will generally list the day and time when the exam is scheduled. It usually confirms the number of points possible and the number of questions. The Proctorio setup quiz becomes available as soon as the student's paperwork is processed and we've added them to the Canvas course. They should be able to get in there, and this Proctorio setup quiz will be available to them. We will keep it open up until 48 hours before the exam. And again, we're really wanting students to get in there early, get comfortable with this process, make sure everything is ready to go by the time they're taking their exam. When the student takes any exam, whether it's the setup quiz or the actual articulation exam, once they select that exam, the first thing they're going to see are the instructions. The instructions are loaded by faculty, and it's very important they read these because faculty set their exams up in different ways. And this is where they're going to understand what they can and cannot do or what is expected in terms of completing the exam. The other thing for students to notice in this window is the time running. The time running on the exam, the clock starts ticking the moment the exam is scheduled to open, not the moment the student opens it, the time that it was scheduled to open. If the exam is scheduled to open at 12 noon and the student doesn't make their way to that exam until 12:30, they're going to see 30 minutes are gone on that clock. That's how this works. It's there to help them know how much time they have left when they're completing an exam. If your student is participating in an exam and Proctorio is not required, then we've covered everything that you need to know how to get them to claim their account and navigate to Canvas. The one thing I would remain to show you are basically what a question might be set up to look like. This is the first question in our Proctorio quiz. You can see it's very easy. I put this here so that you could see that faculty have the option to let students move around within an exam. Some do, some don't. Again, important to read those instructions. If they're allowed to move around within the exam, students can set this flag. If they come to a question and they're not 100% confident about their answer, or maybe they want to leave it and go back, they can set a flag and then scroll through their questions and clear those flags when they're ready. Just be sure that if they flagged anything they understand, once they submit, they can't go back in. So if they're setting flags, they want to be sure to clear the flags before they submit. And this is just sort of a standard question format. Our next step is going to be adding Proctorio. So this will apply to any program where faculty has required some type of Proctorio setting. When students are going to have Proctorio as part of their exam, there is this option of Secure Exam Proctor. It's under courses. You can just jump over here. And then it kind of leads students through adding the Proctorio, in this case, Chrome extension, but it does work with one other browser that we know of. The other way to do this, if not here, and get secure, sorry about that, and then going to install Chrome. The other way is students can just go to proctorio.com and go through the process of loading Proctorio into their browser without being in Canvas. So they could do this outside of the exam day and on their own. The important thing here is to be sure they're setting the Proctorio extension up on the device they're going to use the day of the exam. It doesn't help if they put it on their family's desktop and then try to take the exam on the school-issued laptop. They need to be sure they do the setup on the very device they're going to use for the exam. Keep in mind, Proctorio will only run on a laptop or a desktop. It will not run on a tablet, and it will not run on a mobile phone. And so they really do have to have the appropriate device to participate in any exam that is requiring Proctorio. To get started, Again, they would go to proctorio.com. And from this website, they're going to go to Get Started. By selecting Get Started, Proctorio is going to ask them to identify who they are. Student would identify themselves as test taker. And then it's going to ask them to install a compatible browser if they're not already using a compatible browser. The compatible browser that we recommend is Chrome. However, this year Proctorio is also recommending Microsoft Edge. So if students have Microsoft Edge, that is also acceptable. Opera and Brave are the other browsers that Proctorio will work with, but we find they're less common. So they're better to work with Edge or with Chrome. If they're already on that browser, they won't need to install it. It'll just take them to the next step. And from there, they're going to select Proctorio browser extension. By selecting that, this window pops up, and in our example here, we're using Chrome. And so the student would simply select Add to Chrome. From here, they're going to select Add Extension. When the student selects Add Extension, Proctorio is going to run all of its diagnostics on the device. It's going to test the webcam. It's going to test the microphone. Obviously, it's making sure that the browser is in place. Once the student selects Add Extension and the diagnostics are completed and everything checks out, they will receive this message that says Proctorio has been added to Chrome or Edge, whichever browser they have chosen. So this is what they're looking for. This is when they know they have succeeded in accomplishing what needs to be done prior to taking the Proctorio quiz or the exam. If the student has any issue setting up Proctorio, Mount Sacs Help Desk and the Articulation Office cannot help. This is an extension issue, and anything that is not right needs to be addressed with Proctorio. We have found in the past that anytime there is an issue, it's usually with the device. The way to get help is to reach out to proctorio.com/support. Proctorio has been really excellent. They have live chat 24/7, or they can email. We highly recommend the live chat. They're very fast. And again, they're open 24/7. So at whatever time the student is trying to load Proctorio, if they're having an issue, they can reach out through chat and get help. They have the ability to see what's wrong and let the student know. And again, Articulation Office and IT Help cannot provide any support in this regard. Once students are fully set up and they are taking their exam and Proctorio is in place, it's important for students to understand that this is very high-level surveillance. They may be all alone in their room, and in that case, they often have their guard down because they're not in the presence of others, but we can see them. We can see everything. It's important for them to know this. Perhaps it will help them to conduct themselves differently if they realize that basically the camera is watching them at every moment. Proctorio is going to monitor environmental abnormalities. For this reason, we recommend that students make sure that the radio is off, there's no music playing, there's no TV going, they're not in a room with a lot of other people, because abnormalities in that audio level is going to get them kicked out. If a student is shifting around and moving a lot, excessive head movements could potentially get the student kicked out. If the student leaves the computer for any reason, meaning they are out of view of that camera, they're done. Bathroom breaks don't happen. So they need to be sure they've taken care of all of those things before they sit down to take this exam, because they're not going to be able to get back up until they submit the exam. Proctorio is also going to look for multi-face. So this means if anyone else walks into the room within view of that camera, it could be mom or dad, it could be a sibling, it could be a pet hopping in the student's lap. All of that could potentially have the student kicked out. So those environmental factors are important when students are getting themselves ready and preparing to take this exam. They want to get all of that stuff managed. There are other metrics that Proctorio is going to monitor for. Navigating away, which could simply be trying to pop open another browser window or pop open any other browser at all. They're out, they're done. Things like excessive keystrokes, trying to copy paste, mouse movement, scrolling can get them kicked out. And most importantly, browser resize. What we found last year is some students started the exam without the browser window being open across their entire computer screen. They were probably thinking they could be monitoring, I don't know, email, chat, whatever, over on the side. And then they get to a point in the exam where maybe they have to look at a picture. And now the picture's too small to be able to determine what they need to answer the question. So they try to resize the browser to make the picture bigger. The minute they resize, they're out. So they want to start the exam with the browser as open as they can make it, because there are often images that they need to look at in order to answer questions. Some of the things that were common mistakes that we saw a lot of last year: weak internet signal. We recommend students try to have every other possible streaming device in their household shut down when they're taking the exam to make sure they maintain a strong, steady internet signal. If the internet signal is weak, Proctorio will kick them out because it can't function with a weak internet signal. So they maybe want to consider being close to the Wi-Fi router, whatever it takes to be sure they can have a steady, strong internet. And again, as I mentioned, making sure pets, siblings, family members, give them the time and space to take their exam. And then just the constant movement. And again, I know their guard is down, but we watch students put their hair up, take their hair down, put their hair up, take their hair down, put on some makeup, eat, spill their drink, shift around trying to wipe up their drink that just spilled. All of that got them kicked out. So really giving some thought to their test environment before they begin would be very useful, because we really want to limit the number of students that potentially could be kicked out. Once the exam is over, or at some point if the student is kicked out, all of the metrics that impacted that student's exam are visible to us. We can get all of these things pretty quickly on any student. Obviously, what is in the green is safe. It's good. That's positive. If it's yellow, that's a warning that potentially something might be going on there. And anything in red was caused to be kicked out. We love it when they don't get kicked out, because we know life is a lot harder for everybody if they do get kicked out. We can tell you that exams set to a severe setting have the most number of students kicked out. Moderate is more tolerant for some of the movement that students might engage in just by themselves in their room. Severe, very intolerant. And again, we have video that we have to review anytime a student gets kicked out. In order to make sure students have everything ready, we again recommend they go and take this Proctorio quiz. This is their chance to make sure they're familiar with everything. And again, we're asking this quiz be completed 48 hours before the scheduled exam. If the student doesn't complete this and they get kicked out, that is going to be something faculty will take into consideration when thinking about whether or not a student is going to be granted re-entry. So please, please encourage your students to get this done early and get comfortable with the whole process of navigating and having Proctorio set up as needed. What happens if your student gets kicked out of the exam? The first thing is let students know if they're kicked out, just be calm. You're done for the day. Nothing is going to happen at that point in time. They need to just get on with their day and wait until we contact you for the next step. Emailing isn't going to help. In most cases, when they're kicked out from Proctorio, they can't be put back in anytime soon anyway. The articulation office has to identify the reason for removal from the exam. That is our job. If the reason is within the scope of our responsibility, such as weak Wi-Fi, then faculty generally allow us to make arrangements for the student to re-access the exam. But if there's any kind of question about why that student was kicked out of the exam, for example, a browser resize, we don't have the authority to put the student back into the exam. At that point, we have to reach out to faculty. Faculty has to review the video and give us their decision. Understand that this can take some time. Faculty are generally responsive, but it can depend on the day of the week when we're reaching out to them, whether or not they're teaching. Some of them might be in clinical sites. All of that could delay their response time back to us. If a student is approved to go back into the exam, they're only going to be given one attempt to go back into the exam. They're only going to be given the time remaining in that exam to complete. So whatever time was on the clock at the point they got kicked out, that's how much time they have left. Students that access for the second time, if there are multiple students from a particular course that are bumped out because of Proctorio, they all need to go back in on the same date and start time. Their end time, of course, will vary depending on what they had left on the clock. It's important for you and your students to understand that we're conducting a lot of exams, and many times there are several exams happening at the same time on the same day. There seem to be some very popular dates that work for articulation exams. We are always aware of those exams. We run an exam calendar. We know what's going on. And what we generally do is the following morning, we go in and we look at the exam. We find out if anyone was kicked out. We go and look at video if necessary. We look at what the flags are. And from there, we determine if they can be put back in or if we need to reach out to faculty. And if we have to reach out to faculty, again, that can take some time. So generally speaking, Monday through Thursday, one of our morning tasks is to go in and look at what happened in Canvas the day before. Marlene or I are the only ones that go in and do this. We generally work Monday through Thursday. If a student is scheduled to take an exam on Thursday afternoon and they get kicked out, or if they take the exam on Friday or the weekend, we're not likely to review that video before Monday. And again, if we have to reach out to faculty when reviewing that window, we may not be able to get back to you until Tuesday or possibly Wednesday. So we do ask your patience before reaching out to us about a reschedule. If you haven't heard from us in a reasonable amount of time, then by all means, definitely be in touch with us. But we do tend to be monitoring these things almost daily when we get into the busy articulation season. So we just ask your patience as we have to work through our process and do things in the way that meets faculty's expectations of us and of your students. If you have any questions about today's presentation, about the articulation program, you are always encouraged to reach out to any of us at the high school articulation office at Mount SAC. Our contacts are all listed on the articulation webpage under contacts. Generally, we have different responsibilities, but for overall, you can contact me, Marie Tyra, or you can contact Marlene Ward. We have the closest connection to the exam process. Thanks so much for listening today, and we wish you and your students the very best with the articulation process.